Outer Orange.
Okay, so a new mechanic that's been added, introducing the strongest trigger, one per deck, the over trigger. So the over trigger is a new special thing added to for overdress, and with the over trigger, when it's revealed, so either by drive check or damage check, you are given 100 million power. So not 10,000, not 100,000, 100 million power.
It has been a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, since we have had the release of one of the most craziest mechanics in Vanguard, also known as the Overtrigger, a card that has, ever since it got announced, has been causing uproars and uproars upon arguments and discussions and fors and against, and you name it. There's just been so much conversation, so much conversational thought behind this.
Right? Especially now that they've introduced Triple Drive, right? Triple Drive just makes these over triggers much more visible, right? Much more visible. And then, like in the recent VMC tournament, for example.
And the further we get in month after month, event after event, I feel like the more this card just becomes a problem within the community, within people that enter the game, and within, you know, just overall discussions. And today I kind of wanted to sit down with you guys, what we need to do, maybe as a community, maybe just from person to person, what should be done about the situation that we are currently in, where the community is starting to split in half again after the BRO events that have happened about the concept of the Overtrigger. Hello and welcome. I am OuterOrange. In case you guys do not know me or are unfamiliar with who I am a content creator. I am a commentator. I recently commentated for the Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022 for the premium format. I play competitively. I've topped in multiple events. I'm a very frequent tester of all three formats. I play in all three formats. I have decks in all three formats. I make content in all three formats. So I would say, as someone who's been very active in the game, I feel like anything I have to say or anything that I decide to talk about today is pretty validated. There's been a lot of thought behind a lot of this. I truly mean what I say, and I've went through a lot of experiences, and I hope that you'll listen to me. For those of you guys that may not believe that this trigger needs to go, or maybe you are currently Bushiroad that's watching this, maybe this video will help you understand sort of the reasoning behind why so many people are against the trigger, maybe why even some people are for the trigger, sort of my thoughts and everything. I've wanted to make this video for literally months, but I've been holding off. I've been being very patient, actually. I've been waiting to see ban list after ban list, hoping that maybe something would change. Maybe we'll specifically touch a specific format, and maybe the overtriggers will be changed. Maybe we'll get something that will maybe even nullify them, maybe a different kind of sentinel, just anything to kind of justify a reason to want to keep the overtrigger in card 5 Vanguard. But as the months have been going, we keep going down the same tunnel. We keep going down that same dark hole, and we keep entering that same argument with multiple people from the community. Some are more vocal, some are less vocal, some don't even know what's going on, some are new players, some are old players. This topic has been coming from every direction possible. It is no possible way that you have avoided it, and this is the number one reason why I think this is actually an issue. So let's go ahead and get started. The Overtrigger is a one-of card in a card 5 Vanguard deck. You can only play it currently in two formats. It is the standard format, which is Overdress, and it is premium, which is pretty much the eternal format that can play every single card in the game. Now, a one of may not seem so bad. There's multiple versions of it. There are ones for the nations as well. So the vanilla one you can run in any deck. The nations one you can only run in certain nations, and those have additional effects on top of them too. Why is this a good thing? Well, in some cases, it's actually a pretty good thing. I personally will vouch for the fact that there are times when, you know, the overtrigger happens. Rather I'm commentating, rather I'm playing the game, rather I'm topping the game, rather I'm watching other people play, whatever it is, there are times when that overtrigger hits. It's actually an insanely hype moment. It makes things very exciting. It's a very fun, it's strangely very like, oh my god, that just happened. It was the craziest thing. Did you just see that? It is one of those moments, right? Save you out of really bad circumstances and all that kind of stuff. And that's cool. Like, trust me, I think it's cool too. However, on top of the flair, it also has done a lot of stuff that is quite the opposite of that. If you are someone that has been playing the game for a while, especially if you're playing in both premium and overdressed formats, you will sympathize with me probably and know where I'm coming from. If you haven't spent as much time with the game, I recommend maybe running a couple tests here and understanding exactly what happens when things go wrong. Now, like, first of all, I want to talk about mental state of the player of Cardfight Vanguard. You know, mental state is a very important part of playing Cardfight, playing cards in general, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're playing competitively, you're playing casually, you know, it is a game at the end of the day, and your mental state is very important to keep playing the game correct. The overtrigger is one of the things that can really just sway you, just like the overtrigger can sway games. It can sway you from what you want to do and how you want to enjoy the game, and rather in a better way, in a worse way. Usually it'll be in a worse way. You know, if I introduce a new player to the game and they get attacked by the overtrigger offensively and they lose the game, their morale and mental state drops like crazy. Like suddenly they lost and they don't know why, and they start scratching their head and going, what did I do? But you know, as a new player, you think like, oh well, I'm just learning the game and maybe I need to figure it out. But there are some other new players who are coming from different card games who say have the same interaction and go, well, that's just BS. That's not right. I played things out pretty well and yet I got punished. Now, this is when that mental state coming in, you know, you would think as a one-off doesn't happen too often, but it can happen enough times to where it can actually push you away enough to where you do not want to touch the game again. And I think this is one of the most important things, is keeping people, you know, in the game, enjoying the game and having a good time, and stuff like this pushes people away. Now, if you are testing, this is an also similar problem. Sometimes testing with formats that have the overtrigger in it end up being a literal waste of time. You are testing to become the best of the best. You want to compete, you want to top, you want to do this. You're testing with your buddy, your number one buddy that you always want to test with, and you hit overtrigger, and suddenly that testing for that game just goes out the window. You think you have a game 2 go on, you're like, okay, maybe game 2 will be different. You hit overtrigger again, and it's like, how are you supposed to decipher how good or bad this deck is if you keep hitting the one trigger that essentially pretty much auto wins you the game? Now, that's just testing. There are so many games where I tried to test out a new deck and I just keep hitting OT, or my opponent, that person that I'm testing with, keeps hitting their OT, and then it's hard to tell what could I have even done defensively in that situation, or if it would have mattered, or how to change the testing, especially in premium. By the way, this is insane in premium. This is very feature bigger in premium, and I do want to note that my argument towards this is mainly for premium and not so much standard. I'm aware of the reasons of why the overtrigger should stay in standard. However, premium is kind of a whole other story. Keeping in mind the fact that premium is extremely in-depth, there's so many ways to kind of manipulate the overtrigger itself, to bring it back to deck, to stack it, to do whatever, that these can happen more often than not. So sometimes it makes games go longer because there's a 5th heal in your deck, and it extends game time, because if you keep checking heals and you check OT on top of that, then suddenly you're in the game for longer. And sometimes it goes in the wrong direction where things can happen in a timeout situation, which is another reason why the overtrigger kind of screws you over there. Adds more RNG to a game. Any card game already has a good bit of RNG, and it's not a very rewarding type of RNG. While yes, there are some situations when you hit the overtrigger, you feel so great, but when you're competing competitively and the OT is the reason why you won like 1 or 2 or however many of your games, most of the time you as a player won't even count those games in your mind. You'll be like, oh well, that was that one game where like I got the OT, and honestly I kind of auto won, like I just I hit the overtrigger, they're at 3 damage, they went to 6, they didn't have a perfect guard, and it's like, what did you accomplish that game? What was the magnificent play that you made that was like super out there and was just super knowledgeable, 10 out of 10 material? Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell your dog. What was there that was so useful? Nothing. There was nothing useful there. You hit the overtrigger, they couldn't guard it, they lost the game. Woohoo, you won the game. And in some moments it's like, when it's like that last turn or whatever, it's kind of cool, but then in situations where it happens out of nowhere, you're just kind of like, well, I guess I just win here. And I think the worst feeling is that sometimes you look at your opponent and you want to say, I'm sorry for checking the one of in my deck, but at the same time, you can't even say anything because you already know how they're feeling. They feel like crap, and you know that you can't help them, and there's nothing you can do. You just kind of pack up your stuff and leave, And that is the worst way to end a game. A game should be ended in a way where both players appreciate the time and effort that was put into that game, where they both tried their hardest, they both both felt like they did their best. But when you check the OT on your opponent and they lose because of it, there is nothing to talk about. So I have to ask you, whoever is watching out there, if you felt this way, or if you felt like you were in situations that you couldn't get out of, and how that affected you, and why would you want that feeling to keep happening to your player base, or your friends, or the people that you play with, or the people that you try to show the game to, the people that you want to enjoy the game with you, whether it's online or in person, people across seas, people you talk to. Why would you want to be in a situation where you feel like you didn't deserve it? And that's kind of where I want to kind of roll this all around to. I want you to really think, why would you want to play in this kind of game state, especially if you're trying to just have a good time? And I want you to really think about how that impacts not just you, but the people around you. At the end of the day, we are all here loving the game. The community is currently going on an uproar over the overtrigger. And it's not because they want to complain and, you know, be snappy or be like, well, there was this one time where it happened to me. It's not really about that. And while, yes, there are probably some people out there where they're just plain salty, but a lot of people are just expressing their emotions because they've been through this pit stomach feeling. They know how it feels. They don't want to feel it again. And at the end of the day, they just want to enjoy the game. They want the best for the game. They want the game to be healthy, just like me, just like, you know, everyone, a majority of the people that have been vocal about it. We all feel in a similar way. We're on a similar boat. We just want what's best for the game, and we truly do not think that the overtrigger, at least being in premium, is that. Where is the silver lining? Where is that light? I want to see that light. I want to see a change. I want to see something. Rather it is a ban for the overtriggers, or you know, more mechanics added to deal with overtriggers, both in premium and in overdress. I want to see change, and I don't ask of this very often. You guys know my channel. You know I'm just here to have a good time. You know I love this game. You know I'm here for this game. I want to love the game. I want to love the game with the people around me, and I want there to be a healthy and a happy situation, and I truly don't think the overtrigger can provide that in Cardfight Vanguard. And I hope that you listened to me or understood what I said. I hope it got something, you know, maybe made the gears turn, maybe made you see something. I know a lot of people have brought up the same exact topics as I have, but maybe something I said today will make you think what this is doing to the entire community of Cardfight Vanguard. I really hope there's a beautiful future ahead. I want to be a part of it. I really do love this game, as I'm sure the people out there watching love this game as well. I really hope for the best, and I'm gonna close it out here. I really don't have much else to say, but I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. For those of you guys that watch this, I hope this spreads. Please share it wherever you can. Tweet it, do whatever. Other than that, guys, I don't have anything else. Bye, guys. Peace out. That's I'll see you guys in a future video.